Hello, listeners. This is Kat. Welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfic. This will be the continuation to Watch Your Heroes Fall. This will be Part 11, Chapter 13, entitled Phase 2, Scene 4, Lights, Camera, Action. Izuku has to mete out his information carefully, especially carefully, in the days before their attack. This is one of the few critical junctures where everyone runs the risk of being captured, and Izuku does not know how far UA, or a well-intentioned pro-hero, or even the Hero Commission will go to extract information after their incredibly public debut stunt. Hero Society as a whole lost a lot of face when 3 promising, straight-laced hero students joined the League of Villains, and he doesn't doubt they'll be out for blood. He's counting on it, actually. Hitoshi and Momo know better than to ask. They trust him, and they trust that he has a reason, and they trust that the reason is valid. He can't ask for more than that. He wishes he could ask for more than that. The original League members, Shigaraki and Kurogiri and Jean and Magne and Dabi and Toga, they don't understand the secrecy. All for One was the only one allowed to hold so many cards so close to his chest before, and to them Izuku is a toddler with a washable marker. They don't yet see the Othello board yet. All the pieces lined up, and they can't possibly know that Izuku sees the board, sees every permutation of the board, sees every move that each side will make, and has already calculated the victory as long as he can keep moving the pieces. There is only one player in this game, and it's Izuku, moving the white pieces and the black pieces and flipping them all over themselves. The questions needle into the skin at Izuku's aching joints. He wants to rest, but he goes over the plan with them 1,000,000 times, drilling it until they have it memorized. So it's just a show and tell. Shigaraki Tomura sounds derisive. Izuku knows he craves blood and dust, but neither of those win wars. It's fear-mongering, Momo corrects, eyes narrow, brows furrowed, still chewing on it. You want to show them the school can't protect them. Izuku gives her a smile he hopes is bright, but she shivers, so he knows he got the expression wrong. Now, he says, resisting the urge to rub at his aching eyes. Run me through it again. All Might smiles. Young Ashido, why don't you try using your acid on the edges of your silhouette so that young Hagekure's punches slide off and do less damage? Mina and Toru actually stop their sparring to look at All Might, standing tall and impressive and actually paying attention to them. They both glow under the instruction, and Mina tries the suggestion to moderate success. It's the first time All Might has given Mina such direct advice this month, and Toru jokes that she's surprised he remembered her name. All right, class. All Might booms over the din of the various sparring matches. Everyone stops sparring to look his way. The air is tense, but despite that, there's not a lot of excitement in their training. 2 members of the class are missing, and the whole is felt. All Might smiles wider, brighter, trying to displace the energy. Why don't we try something different? Each of you will spar 1 round with me, and if you can land even just 1 punch, you win. Nobody asks what they'll win, and All Might feels his performance anxiety growing. He has maybe another 30 minutes on his timer, so he hopes to have someone land a punch before then, before he loses face in front of his students. He does not realize he could no more lose face in front of them than he could claim them as his students. He does not realize he is not All Might. He does not realize that the moment a student hits him with the strength and ferocity of a budding hero student, he will collapse into a pile of mud and be revealed to be a clone of Twice, who was watching all this from a vent about 30 feet above the group gathered at Training Ground Theta. The class representative, Ida Tenya, confidently approaches All Might first, and the match seems close. Ida family speed nearly costing All Might to the match before a slight pull veers Tenya off course. Everyone assumes that Tenya is imperfect, which is a fair assumption, or that All Might is perfect, which is not a fair assumption. Nobody assumes that Magne, who is set up in a faux office building just to the side with her magnet at the ready, is manipulating the matches. Across campus, in the main classroom building, a janitor with white hair and flaking skin mops a stairwell. Griping and grumbling and sloppily trailing sudsy water up and down the stairs, he's counting the minutes before he has to sprint to the other side of campus, and fuming a little. This is beneath him, he thinks, and he could be doing so much more, so many more important or useful things. He could be supervising or beating someone to a pulp or anything other than pretending to be a fucking janitor. He moves on to the downstairs hallway and continues to grumble and gripe. Near the front gate of the school, a man in a deep-set hoodie lights a small candle. It's strawberry-scented. The pink wax starts to melt the moment the blue flames eat at the wick. He sets the candle on the decorative pillar next to the gate, just behind a potted plant, just out of view, and meanders along the wall. He sets a new little 100-yen store candle at the back gate, and both teacher entrances, and near the tunnel entrance that nobody is supposed to know about, and he lights just a little blue flame on those strawberry candles until the whole campus smells just a little bit like strawberry caught in a breeze. Each wearing a wig and a school uniform, 2 kids stick little clay balls to the roof, right next to the fire suppressant system. They ask if they should do anything about the fire suppressant system, and are answered in the negative. They continue to place little clay balls along the ceiling and in corners. They start at the top floor and work their way down. A teacher stops them once, while they're walking. Thank gods. It would have been impossible to explain why the girl was standing on the boy's shoulder pressing a clay alarm clock into the ceiling. And they show him a hall pass, and he waves them off. He doesn't recognize them because he teaches the 3rd years in their history and genealogy of heroics class and has never personally met them. The kids both wonder if, after all of this, they'll ever get to take history and genealogy of heroics, or if they'd ever want to. Midoriya Izuku skips around the outskirts of UA campus. He mutters to himself, "And then you will all see that. Oh no, the line is, until you all see that your sins have consequences." He stops. He says, "Oh, thanks, Kurogiri. Turning east, that's where the sun rises, right? So I'm walking away from the sun, right? Okay, thanks." He pivots, continues to skip. He's wearing 2 layers of clothes, jeans and a white t-shirt underneath, and a skirt and cream-colored sweater on top. "Are we almost ready?" he asks, whining. "I want to see Ochako." And then, "I can like more than one person, Jean." Shoto goes to the bathroom after trying and failing to hit All Might. He was 4th. Sarah was up next. Shoto hadn't really been trying. He knows what today is. He doesn't know how it will play out, but he knows what today is, and his soul is returned to his body for an evanescent moment when he got that text from a blocked number. Bathroom. The bathroom is empty. He locks the door behind him. The 3rd stall has red shoes peeking out from below the door, and Shoto opens it, and there's Izuku, smiling and teary and with his eyes bruised from a lack of sleep. "Take better care of yourself," is the first thing Shoto says. Izuku's tears soak the shoulder of Shoto's school uniform. Shoto will say that he splashed some water on a stain there, and they hold each other tight, enough to bruise. "I only have a few minutes," is the first thing Izuku says. He has a communication earpiece in. Shoto wants to say that it would take seconds if that was all they got. He would claw at the joints of time until they frayed and left every linear thing in a puddle around him if it meant he could stretch this moment together. But his quirk, no matter how powerful and coveted, can't give him anything he wants or needs. Can't even give him this. "Are you okay?" is what Izuku asks. "I have to go home on the weekends now," Shoto answers. Izuku cries harder for the both of them. Shoto's never been good at crying. He's gone 2 weekends at home now, and already his nerves are numb and frozen to the heat that greets him there. He can feel them thawing now in Izuku's warm arms, his warm tears, his warm smile, and when he kisses Shoto and promises he'll fix it. Shoto doesn't want him to fix it. He doesn't want there to be anything to fix. He doesn't want to lie in Izuku's bed at Izuku's house and hear Izuku's mom call that dinner is almost ready and that they better have done their homework. Fixing is so much harder than working around what's broken. "All right," Izuku says seriously, coldly into the earpiece. To Shoto, he smiles again, and he wipes his tears, and he wipes Shoto's one tear that had preceded what was nearly a full thaw, and says, "I have to go now." "I could go with you." "We can't. Not unless you're compromised. Your information is what's keeping us afloat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." "Sorry," Shoto says. He means for asking to go. He's just so tired. He knows Izuku is tired too, waiting upstream with those dark, bruised eyes. "I'm coming back," Izuku promises. He doesn't mean to the bathroom, and Shoto knows this. They kiss again, as long as they can make that kiss last, and then Izuku goes. Shoto waits 49 seconds, and then he goes. "All the bombs are deployed," Momo says. "Candles are lit," Dabi says. "I have mopped all 3 of the fucking stairwells," Shigaraki says. "All Might's double is holding strong," Magne says. "Nobody has seen me yet," Toga says. Izuku waits a beat. "All right," he says, then quieter, not to them. "I have to go. We can't. I'm coming back." Then louder over the sound of running footsteps. "Kurogiri, direct Toga to some students or administrative staff. Magne, stop interfering with the sparring matches. Who is the double up against?" "Mina Ashido is next." "Perfect. She'll get a hit in. Kurogiri, do we have a status on the real All Might? Still talking to Nezu in the teacher's lounge. And Eraserhead? In his office, and Toga, take a left at this corner and you'll encounter 4 second-year students from the business department. Roger that, Kurogiri. Toga, do you remember your lines? Izuku asks. Toga says, Yep, I've been practicing this whole time. Perfect. Everyone remember, not to hit first. Several voices reply. Understood. And then chaos explodes from every corner of the UA campus. 4 business students come face to face with villain defector Midoriya Izuku and scream. One of them has the sense to call for a teacher. Toga doesn't chase, just continues to skip around the perimeter of the main school building. Mina slides across the arena in training ground Theta and slams a knee into All Might's thigh, and then watches in horror as he disintegrates into a puddle of mud. All of Class 1A scrambles into defensive battle positions. They recognize Twice's quirk when they see it. They send Tenya for a teacher, and Twice and Magne, still hidden, let them go. Fires rush up from strawberry-scented candles and build walls of flame around every entrance and exit to the UA grounds and several building entrances. The flames flicker and shrink around the structures they are hot enough to melt or torch, but in the empty spaces meant for human bodies to pass through they burn hot and incandescent blue. Alarms go off. Fire-suppressant foam is unleashed into every hallway because nobody is quite sure where the fire isn't, and it is better for a hero school to be safe than sorry. Once foam has been deployed, a detonator activates 23 smoke bombs, reducing hallway visibility to nothing. Confused, panicking students and teachers crowd the hallways. The bright lights of the alarms reflect and refract in the smoky air and disorient everyone. Some fall. Smarter ones hold hands to keep track, friends and classmates, but most slip and fall in the mixture of foam and sudsy mop water. And students and staff, unable to see the fallen beyond the foam and the smoke, trample them. Pro-hero agencies all across town receive distress calls from UA, who appear to have villain defector Midoriya Izuku traipsing across campus, Twice replicating All Might to break into a class, and several fires across campus. Several agencies and pros arrive in aid, but nobody can get inside through any of the 5 entrances, and UA's defense system is too complex and impressive for them to get in any other way. Help will not come from outside. Midoriya Izuku appears in training ground Theta, and is immediately flanked on either side by Magne and Twice. Then Shigaraki and Dabi and Momo and Hitoshi are portaled in by Kurogiri. The hero students are held in petrified horror. Izuku rants, but it only lasts about a minute before Bakugo Katsuki rushes in on the attack. Toga remembers to call him Kachan, just like Izuku would. She remembers not to stare too much at Ochako, but a little is okay. Her and Izuku are close, after all. She performs perfectly, and she mostly cannot wait for the cake that she's been promised for such a controlled, careful, minute performance. All of Class 1A follows after Katsuki, which Izuku had predicted and prepared them for. So Magne knows to duck low under Hana's tape, and Twice knows to jump around Asui's attempt to pull off his mask, and Dabi knows to push his flames in front of Dark Shadow, and Shigaraki knows Eijiro will go straight for his face. Momo did not need Izuku to tell her that Jiro would come for her, would tell her to just come back, would pitch her heartbeat at her with full force, just like Hitoshi didn't need Izuku to tell him Denki would throw a punch at his jaw, or that he would scream, "What the fuck, dude, I trusted you." The fight is brutal, and the league is outnumbered, so it's about even. But they're taking hit after hit after hit until Kurogiri confirms that most of the students in the main building and dorms have reached the outside spaces of the campus, and Tenya is returning with the real All Might in cement toss and ectoplasm and snipe. Kurogiri portals them out, and they slip through the fingers of several enterprising hero students trying to give chase into the dark and back to the bar. Aizawa Shota flings Izuku sideways like a rag doll with his capture weapon, and Izuku's back slams into the concrete wall of the UA school building. The wall doesn't even dent, and Shota isn't sure whether that means he's being gentle enough or too gentle. How is he supposed to handle this? This wasn't in the fucking job description of a teacher. Not even a hero teacher at UA should have to try to beat the shit out of their own students, not like this. But Shota has to go all out here, because Midoriya Izuku was a great fucking student, and Shota will come out of this injured if he's not careful. Izuku, of fucking course, doesn't take a breath. He just yanks the capture weapon toward him to get him closer to Shota, and poises his scarred fingers like he did at the sports festival. For half a second, Shota thinks, oh fuck, he's actually gone off the deep end, and this is him killing me with his quirk. And then he realizes he's been tricked, and Izuku's actually several yards away, knees bent, looking ready to bolt or pounce. The other villains have likely all gotten away by now, but Shota doesn't give a shit. Anybody else can catch the League of Villains, but Shota can help his kids. This kid. If he can just get Izuku still, listening, Shota's sure he can talk him down from this ledge. He has to be able to. This is one of his kids. The guilt will eat him alive if he can't save this one when he knew for the whole week that something was up. He's got to be able to talk sense into Izuku while he's here, or detain him at least, to find someone who can talk sense into him. Midoriya, what is this? Whatever's going on, we can work it out, Shota says as flatly as possible, normal as anything. You don't have to do this. There are other options. The kid has the gall to laugh. Shota snaps. This isn't a joke, Midoriya. This is serious. People are getting hurt. Your friends are getting hurt. Shota has no idea how Izuku convinced, of all people, Momo and Hitoshi to join him. Izuku's manic smile fades just a little. Behind the facade, Shota can see his student, rational and nervous and determined, peering through. Please, just come with me, Midoriya. Your mother's going to be worried sick. Your classmates have been worried about you. You can't imagine how Todoroki is taking this. That last bit, something in it must have hit a nerve, because that skittering, plaster smile reassembles on Izuku's cheeks and his defensive stance tightens. Did they fight? No, a fight wouldn't get this response from Izuku. What about Todoroki Shoto is making Midoriya Izuku become a villain? Shoto's capture weapon shoots out again, wraps around Izuku's waist, and drags him close. What happened to Todoroki? Shota asks quietly. Izuku's guard lowers long enough to respond in a tense whisper. Happening. The question is, what is happening to Todoroki, Mr. Aizawa? Shota is so incredibly caught off guard that his capture weapon slips, but instead of running away again, Izuku grabs it in his hands and whispers again, desperately through that plaster smile. Please, don't let it keep happening to him. Please. No. Shit, don't be so cryptic, problem child. Tell me what's going on. Izuku shakes his head. I can't. His smile falls all the way to the ground between them, and all that's left is the raw, terrible desperation that Shota hasn't seen since the fucking disaster at the training camp. Please, Mr. Aizawa, trust me. I swear I'm doing good, I swear. Sure doesn't look like it. I know! Izuku shouts, voice like a taut wire. He's smiling again, but Shota has seen enough tears to find them welling in Izuku's eyes. Izuku laughs, wet and horrible like an open wound. I know, but I am. I swear I'm doing the right thing. And Shota looks at him, bleeding and bruised from their fight, and he notices that these are the only new injuries on him. No fading burn scars, no jagged lines from broken bones, no bruises or scrapes. Shota has just earnestly fought Izuku as if he were a villain, and Izuku looks less damaged than he would after a normal heroics class exam. The villains haven't been hurting him. Not only that, Shota realizes with startling fucking clarity, Izuku hasn't been this uninjured in months. More than the familiar tingle of road rash on his knees, Shota feels the greasy burn of nausea in his gut when he thinks about how injured his kids look all the time, whether it's the sports festival or the training camp or trying to step in for the fucking pros themselves or even the stupid fucking classes that push their bodies beyond their limits on a weekly basis. Izuku's brief time with the villains appeared to have been safer than his classmates' time in the dorms. Mina came to class with a bruise the size of a baseball on her forearm from sparring with Eijiro. She said it was fine. She'd had worse. Ojiro had a 3-inch-long gash on his tail from an exam 2 weeks ago. He said it was fine. It's to be expected of hero work. Tenya blew out his engines twice in 3 weeks because he kept overworking them. He said it was fine. He just needed to be more disciplined. And Shota bites his cheek to hold back a scream at himself for becoming so numb to it. Izuku hasn't moved, hasn't run away, hasn't pinned Shota to the ground. He's just waiting, watching Shota's face, listening to the alarms blaring inside the building behind them. Shota straightens, pulls his capture weapon back and wraps it around his neck, looks Izuku in the eyes, and tries to remind himself that the kid is just 15. I promise, I won't let you down, Mr. Aizawa, Izuku says. He starts to say, Hey, could you tell All Might? But then he stops, and his face contorts with grief, and then pain, then a complex emotion that has gone too fast to characterize. Then the plaster smile is back with the force of sheer will that breaks Shota's heart. Never mind, he sings, then he runs off into a black, pooling portal. Shota lets him go. He knows he'll regret this. He's just waiting on time to tell him how. All right, listeners. This concludes Chapter 13 of Watch Your Heroes Fall. Chapter 14 will be up next. Hope you all are still enjoying, and as always, thank you so much for listening.